So I've been watching this Fatal Attraction show, right? And it's similar to First 48, Forensic Files, Snapped, shows that I actually like, you know, true crime. You feel me? So I haven't seen all, I only seen like one or two episodes, and I just want to do a little commentary to a certain episode. So that's what I'm here for today. So we're gonna get started on this episode. I don't know what episode this is. This is a blind commentary, a blind reaction. I don't know what happens in this episode, which makes it funner for me. So you can get my real reaction, real commentary to this shit. I don't know what's finna happen, so we finna see. So let's get started on this.
Theirs was a romance bound together in faith between a church-going mother of three.
Her face would light up when she speaks of him. She thought she found Mr. Right.
And a smooth-talking man of the cloth.
When Tracy preached, she was there just to be the complete support.
Until an act of unspeakable violence tore their love apart.
We found his wife dead on the driveway.
I felt like my world had come to an end. It was just so horrible.
Theirs was a romance bound together in faith. They uncover a multitude of sins and unquenchable sexual appetites that beg the question, was this a random act of violence or something far more wicked?
It was like watching an episode of Law and Order, All My Children. Everything rolled into one.
People have read stories about things like this, just couldn't imagine that would happen.
Now, just because people go to church or just because you a preacher does not mean you're always holy, and this video is about to prove it. Now, I will say, just because, they married or they're together, that don't mean that the husband killed the wife or the wife killed the husband. That don't mean that, not in this Fatal Attraction. You see what I'm saying? So that don't mean all that. But we finna see what's really finna happen, because I don't know what's finna happen. So I'm finna be, surprised like y'all.
10:15 p.m., May 18th, 2010. Police in suburban Houston receive a frantic 911 call. The caller is identified as Tracy Burleson.
Can somebody say 911, please?
What's going on there? Why are the officers needed?
Somebody shot my wife.
Officers are immediately dispatched to the Burleson home in the middle-class neighborhood of Greensbrook. Police find Tracy illuminated by the headlights of an idling vehicle, cradling a woman they assume is his wife.
You didn't see anybody, did you?
No, she's still warm, but she's not breathing.
Tracy is embracing her. He's hugging her when they arrive. So she's on the ground at that point.
Moments later, detectives arrive and quickly determine the woman is, in fact, Tracy Burleson's wife, Paulette.
All right, so now we see that Tracy Burleson is the husband, Paulette is the wife, and Tracy has called in to 911 to say that somebody has shot Paulette. So we finna see what's finna happen next. Let's continue.
They also determine that Paulette has been shot in the back of the head. She is pronounced dead on the scene. While detectives on the scene try to calm Tracy, officers begin the grim task of notifying Paulette's next of kin.
I immediately headed there to her house to see her, Paulette, laying on the ground, on that cold ground. I felt like my world had come to an end.
Police cordon off the crime scene and ask Tracy, the crime's sole eyewitness, to retrace the events leading up to his wife's murder.
And me and my wife, we was out in the house, we came outside, we were talking and everything.
So this right here is actual police video of the husband, Tracy, speaking to the law or whatever. This ain't an actor, this ain't dramatization, nothing like that. But let me ask y'all something real quick, because I don't know what's going to happen. I could be wrong. I could be 100% wrong, but does this dude sound like he's even worried, or does he seem like he feels sad that his wife is dead now? He don't sound like it to me. I'm just saying, but I could be wrong. He probably didn't do anything. What we finna see?
Still covered in his wife's blood, a shell-shocked Tracy tells them that the night started off just like any other. The couple shared a nice, quiet dinner. Afterwards, Tracy did the dishes while Paulette headed outside to take in the balmy night air. With Paulette enjoying the sunset, Tracy took the opportunity to make a run to a nearby Quickie Mart.
He'd actually purchased 2 items, a Baby Ruth and some corn chips.
And then when I came back, I pulled right there. And when I looked, I saw she was slumped over.
He found his wife dead on the driveway, apparently with a hole in her head and blood surrounding her body.
Tracy says he immediately called 911.
Somebody shot my wife.
And as he waited for help to arrive, he held Paulette in his arms, saying prayer after prayer. Surveying the scene, officers realize Tracy's car is still running, and the driver's side door is wide open.
There was also a lawn chair that Paulette had been sitting in prior to her being shot.
Police can't help but wonder if Paulette is the victim of a drive-by, or perhaps some deadly home invasion. But they find nothing out of place. If this murder isn't some random act of violence, then who on earth would want a woman like Paulette Burleson dead? And why?
All right, so right now, nothing sounds out of place with the dude's story. I mean, he went to the store, grabbed a couple snacks, came back, his wife is shot in the head, and he called the police, went over there, held her. Nothing sounds out of place, but with these shows, dude could be lying. You see what I'm saying? But we're gonna have to wait and see what really happened. So let's continue.
Raised in Houston's historic Fifth Ward, Paulette Ross wasn't born with a silver spoon in her mouth, but she had big dreams and hoped to one day make something of herself.
We were poor, but we had a regular family, we survived. We grew up in a Baptist church. She was always active, reading the Bible.
After college, Paulette earned a nursing degree, but a hasty marriage in her mid-20s derailed her budding career.
It was an abusive marriage. Her second marriage was about 4 years later.
All right, let's keep this in mind right here. She was in an abusive marriage before getting with her now husband, Tracy. All right, so let's just keep that in mind. She was in a previous marriage and it was abusive. All right.
Paulette's failed marriages produced 2 children, but that didn't stop her from welcoming needy foster children into her home.
She was, just a great person to even consider taking those children in.
She had a good heart, for one thing. She was concerned and caring about other people.
And rather than being on the lookout for Mr. Right, Paulette sought out ways to strengthen her relationship with God, which led her to visit the First New Mount Calvary Baptist Church.
First New Mount Calvary Baptist Church was a pillar of the community. That church always helped the homeless. They helped the drug addicts with food from the food pantry and that sort of thing.
But the church's good works weren't all Paulette was drawn to. A young drummer in the church choir named Tracy Burleson also caught her eye.
I grew up in the church with Tracy at First New Mount Calvary Baptist Church. His stepfather is a deacon of the church.
Tracy aspired to one day be a minister, and at 27 years old, Tracy was 12 years Paulette's junior. But when the pair struck up a conversation, their love connection was instant.
Paulette was ecstatic about that. They fell in love with one another first sight. He would bring her flowers and candy. He was just a young gentleman.
Paulette was drawn in by Tracy's confidence and charm, but she was won over by the aspiring minister's sincere devotion to God.
Tracy Burleson seemed to be the knight in shining armor. And she was really happy and excited about being in love again.
What began as a giddy courtship soon blossomed into a mature romance. And after almost a year in each other's arms, Tracy and Paulette decided to tie the knot.
She's very happy. Very, very happy.
Tracy became a stepfather to Paulette's 2 sons, John and Andre. Paulette, in turn, opened her arms to young William Fuller, Tracy's son from a previous relationship.
All right, just from this little story right now, let's start building a list of possible suspects, in the murder of Paulette. We got, of course, the husband, Tracy. He's, of course, could be a suspect. Could be one of Paulette's ex-husband. He could be a possible suspect. Also, another possible suspect could be Tracy's ex-wife. See what I'm saying? So, hey, we got a list of suspects, you know what I'm saying? But right now, I'm still leaning towards Tracy himself, but we'll see what happens. Let's continue.
William reminded me of Tracy quite a bit. He was really laid back, but really sweet.
But William suffered from the life-threatening blood disease, sickle cell anemia.
He was partially blind at one point. He had bone infections. He had pneumonia. He had an enlarged heart. You name it, he suffered with it.
At the age of 12, William moved in with his father and Paulette and seemed to thrive under their roof.
We thought they were a great bunch of people.
Praise Him. Things begin to happen when you praise God.
But the blissful home life wasn't all the Burlesons had to be thankful for. Tracy rose through the ranks to become an ordained minister. And in 2008, he took the reins as the spiritual leader of the church.
He was called to minister. I just believe in what he was doing wholeheartedly.
God blesses you above, exceedingly above what you can imagine.
I was there when Tracy preached his first sermon. To see him up there was just delightful.
As the new First Lady of New Mount Calvary Baptist, Paulette was in the front row of the sanctuary every Sunday.
She was there just to be the complete support.
My sister Paulette loved him with all her heart.
But Reverend Burleson wasn't behind the pulpit long before disaster struck.
The main part of the church was burned down in a very mysterious fire.
And so you have a historic church in the city of Houston that is now gone.
Their church might have been gone, but Tracy and Paulette's faith was unshakable. And together they began the daunting task of rebuilding New Mount Calvary Baptist. But no sooner had construction on the new church begun than tragedy would strike again. And as a tearful Reverend Burleson tells police at the crime scene, the loss of his church and his beloved Paulette may be more than he can bear.
How awful it was that these two tragedies happened to this man in this shorter period of time.
And I said, Paulette, come on. I said, Paulette, come on. And that's when I grabbed her and I held her, then I kind of fell back from her.
But as they listened to Tracy, detectives realize he's more than just despondent about losing his wife and his church. He seems genuinely terrified.
Tracy said he was afraid that whoever shot Paulette might come back.
Is it possible that Reverend Burleson and his beloved wife are the targets of a church-related conspiracy?
Yeah, it could be, but I doubt it. I seriously doubt it, but we'll find out.
Before investigators can answer the question, they'll have to navigate a twisted path of lust and betrayal, the likes of which not even the most jaded homicide detective could fathom. Baptist minister Tracy Burleson seemed to have it all. A loving marriage to his soulmate Paulette Burleson, a rising career at the First New Mount Calvary Baptist Church, and the love and affection of his young son William Fuller. But less than 2 years after being named pastor, the Reverend's life has been ravaged by tragedy. First, his church burned to the ground, and now, just before midnight on May 18th, 2010, Tracy's beloved wife Paulette has been gunned down in cold blood. Soaked in Paulette's blood, Tracy recounts the discovery of his wife's body to responding officers.
And that's when the sheriff car came on through here.
Reverend Burleson seems terrified that whoever shot Paulette is coming back for him. Police ask him who he thinks the killer might be. His answer is shocking.
We had a lot of people at the church that wanted to do things to him.
Tracy had this theory that perhaps the people who had been in charge of the church before Tracy arrived would want to hurt Tracy and Paulette somehow.
According to the Reverend, prior to being named pastor at New Mount Calvary Baptist, there was a heated battle between Tracy and another pastor over who should lead the flock.
Tracy Burleson's stepfather pulled strings and put him in that position to be the pastor of that church.
And not everyone was pleased that he had landed the job.
Tracy came and preached one Sunday, and the next thing the congregants knew, he was their new pastor.
Detectives at the scene are having a hard time believing anyone at a church as welcoming as New Mount Calvary would resort to violence in order to remove a pastor from the pulpit.
Yeah, I'm having a hard time believing that too. I'm with the detectives on this one. I'm sorry. I'm having a real hard time believing somebody would kill your wife just because you became the pastor. I don't believe that, but we'll see.
That's when a young man arrives at the Burleson residence.
What's going on?
Like Tracy, he seems rattled by Paulette's death.
Officers at the scene were introduced to William Fuller as the stepson of Paulette, the son of Tracy Burleson.
William tells them he's been living with a full-time caregiver in a house a few miles down the road. Police ask William if he knows anyone who might want to harm his stepmother or his father. William offers up a theory similar to his dad's.
Yeah, but she's got a lot of enemies in the church.
William told them that there were other people at the church that would want Paulette dead and that they should be looking that direction.
All right, so call me crazy. That's fine, but we got another possible suspect, and that could be Tracy's son, William. You know what I'm saying? It just seems quite convenient he arrived at the scene. Like, did his father call him or something? How did he know that she was shot? But whatever, we'll continue. Let's go.
The following morning, detectives pay a visit to New Mount Calvary Baptist Church.
Attorney disagreements.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
In doing so, they quickly discover that Reverend Burleson's pastorship was even more controversial than he originally let on.
Many members did not want him to be the pastor of that church.
In speaking with parishioners, police also learned that as efforts to oust her husband mounted, Paulette grew increasingly hostile toward those who opposed him.
There were many arguments between her and several of the members in the church, and things would turn into shouting matches.
Is it possible this political infighting prompted a disgruntled parishioner or aspiring pastor to target Reverend Burleson and his wife for murder? And what about the mysterious fire that burnt the church to the ground just 1 week earlier? Did that have something to do with the murder too? Not according to several of the church's most respected members.
The oldest member of the church said that they set the church afire, and I said, who? She said, Tracy and Paulette. It was because of the insurance money.
So now they saying that they set the fire, that Paulette and Tracy set the fire to the church because of the insurance money. And it's quite convenient that it happened right after he became the pastor. So I'm willing to believe that. You see what I'm saying? So now we're starting to get somewhere. Let's continue. Let's continue.
The idea that Reverend Burleson burned down his own church for insurance money adds yet another layer of mystery to the case.
He's just a sneaky guy.
When investigators press church members for a possible motive, they explain it all has to do with the fact that Reverend Burleson didn't practice what he preached, especially the part about not coveting thy neighbor's wife.
Tracy Burleson was after one thing, and that was to sleep with as many women as he possibly could.
Apparently, Reverend Burleson wasn't the devoted husband he claimed to be. Detectives know extramarital affairs are one of the primary motives for murder. But unless these accusations can be proven, they won't bring them any closer to solving the crime.
Okay, so Tracy was a man whore. Got it. Sleeping with other people's wives. Okay, now it's starting to open up a little bit more. Now, I'm not surprised that, a church guy is sleeping around. That's not in the least big suspect. That happens a lot nowadays in churches. So, we'll see where this goes from here.
But as investigators dig deeper, they uncover sordid secrets that cast Reverend Tracy Burleson in a shocking new light. and put them hot on the heels of a seductive plot that brings the Burlesons' idyllic romance to a sudden and violent end. It's been less than 24 hours since the First Lady of Houston's New Mount Calvary Baptist Church, Paulette Burleson, was gunned down in the driveway of her suburban home and left to die in her husband's arms.
No one deserves to be murdered in the manner in which Pauletta was murdered.
All right, so this lady right here is William Fuller's mother, which is Tracy's ex-wife. So we can eliminate her from the list of suspects. She clearly did not do this because she's out and free and talking right now. So it wasn't her. Let's continue.
But the investigation has already taken a bizarre turn. Paulette's husband of 15 years, Reverend Tracy Burleson, and his son, William Fuller, believe bad seeds within his congregation are behind the crime. But several disgruntled parishioners have accused the Reverend of not only burning down the church for insurance money, but are convinced his numerous alleged affairs are the motive behind his wife's murder.
Tracy was a womanizer.
Tracy and Paulette had started having problems 2 years after they were married. Well, he was a dirty, low-down dog.
And that's not all. Tracy's infidelities weren't limited to only women.
God damn, so hold on. Tracy a punk too? He fucking with men too? He fucking with boys? Like, God, that just opened a whole can of worms right there. Now the suspect list is getting very big now. God damn. But I still think it was Tracy. So let's continue.
She caught him with men in the church. She caught him with transvestites in the church.
So, you know, he went both ways. Paulette was overwhelmed about it because she didn't want to believe it, but she knew she'd seen it.
So here's my theory, right? Before we continue, here's my overall theory of what happened. Paulette caught Tracy with one of these little boys, whatever, one of these little men or whatever. And Tracy was ashamed, and Tracy didn't want the shit getting out that, you know, he's fucking on men. He didn't care that he got caught fucking with other women, but he cared that he's getting caught fucking with other dudes now. And I think Paulette was gonna let the cat out the bag and let everybody know this, and Tracy didn't want to be letting it be out there, so he got her capped. Either he did it himself or he got somebody to cap her. That's my opinion. That's what I think happened, but we'll find out.
It's the kind of sin that would make even Jimmy Swaggart blush. But given all the bad blood between Reverend Burleson and some of his parishioners, investigators aren't sure what to make of these allegations of infidelity. They turn to Tracy and Paulette's neighbors in suburban Houston, hoping they might shed some light on the couple's relationship. It doesn't take long for them to find a new lead. According to one of the Burlesons' neighbors, on the morning of the murder, he saw the Reverend and his wife arguing in their driveway.
He had seen Paulette and Tracy and a woman arguing earlier in the day.
Detectives pressed the neighbor for a description of this mystery woman. All he knows is that she was African American.
No one knew who the third party involved in the argument earlier in the day was.
Could this mystery woman be responsible for Paulette's death?
No, I don't believe it. Though I do believe that mystery woman is probably a woman that Tracy was fucking around with. I do believe that. I just don't believe she had anything to do with Paulette's death. But let's continue.
If so, what was her relationship with the Burlesons? Given the tawdry accusations already being lobbed at Reverend Burleson, detectives aren't sure he'll give them a straight answer on the subject. Instead, they reach out to his son, William.
He was briefly questioned and said that he didn't know anything about the third party involved in the argument.
And we need to ask you a few more questions.
William seems nervous, which suggests he's hiding something. Detectives ask William if they can speak with his caregiver. Moments later, a young woman comes to the door. She tells them her name is Tyone Palmer. Tyone explains that she met William Fuller through a mutual friend, and ever since William moved out of his parents' house, she's also doubled as his live-in caregiver.
She was like a mother to him.
She helped with his sickle cell. She took care of him while he was in the hospital.
Tyon says she was with William the night Paulette was shot. She also corroborates William's claim that she gave him a ride to the crime scene long after the murder was committed.
She was very credible.
Tyon Palmer's statement seems to rule out William Fuller as a possible suspect. Now detectives aren't sure whether they should be looking at Reverend Burleson, or at one of his parishioners, or that mystery woman neighbors saw arguing with the Burlesons the morning of the murder. It's at that very moment that detectives get the break they need, though by no means is it the one they've been expecting.
Sheriff's deputies received information from a confidant of William Fuller.
Someone needs to know him. Someone needs to take care of this and put him away.
Saying that William Fuller had confessed to her that he had been the one who shot and killed Paulette.
Okay, so if this is true, if this is indeed true, this explains why William was there at the crime scene so early and how he knew that Paulette was shot. But this still doesn't rule out the husband. This still doesn't rule out Tracy. So let's continue.
Investigators are perplexed. By all accounts, Tracy's son William is a caring, kind-hearted young man.
Officers asked her to phone William Fuller and see if, in fact, he would again confess as they recorded that conversation.
Sheriff's deputies set up a wiretap with William's confidant, hoping William will once again reveal himself as Paulette's killer. But none of them are prepared for the gruesome story William is about to tell, one that culminates in the ultimate act of betrayal. It's been almost 3 weeks since police in suburban Houston discovered the dead body of Paulette Burleson, the loyal and loving wife of Reverend Tracy Burleson and First Lady of New Mount Calvary Baptist Church. Sheriff's deputies have received an anonymous tip from someone claiming that Paulette Burleson's own stepson, William Fuller, is responsible for her murder. In order to get this alleged confession on tape, detectives have asked the informant to give William a call on which they've set up a wiretap. In this call, William again confesses to killing his stepmom.
I did it, I did it, I don't know what to do.
I would have never thought William would have been involved in that situation.
But William's confession pales in comparison to what he says next.
William Fuller confessed to her that he had killed Paulette at his dad's request.
Oh, see, look, I knew something. It didn't seem off at first, but then as soon as I realized that William was there a little bit after the murder, it was like, how the fuck did he know that she was shot if his father didn't even call him and say he got shot? How did he even know she was shot? You see what I'm saying? Now it's making sense. It's making sense. See, yeah, you set your son up to do that. You see what I'm saying, man? See, you motherfuckers ain't shit.
Can't believe I did this, man.
William tells the informant it all started in late 2009. William had recently moved in with his caretaker, Tyon Palmer. That December, William took Tyon to Family Day at his dad's church.
He considered Tyon family. He invited her to attend with him for Family Day. William simply introduced Tyon to his dad.
But according to William, soon after, Tracy asked him to deliver a message to Tyon.
The note is telling her that he's interested in her and he'd like to get to know her better. Her initial reaction was surprise because she was under the impression he was married and everything was going well.
Tracy asked Tyon if they could meet face to face so he could better explain his situation. A few days later, Tracy and Tyon had their first rendezvous.
He leads her to believe that he is going through a divorce, it's going to be final, and that he is basically available to have a relationship with her.
See, here's my thing here. First, okay, Tyon is William's caregiver. Is Tyon also the mystery woman that was seen arguing too? Like, I don't know. We haven't got that far yet. I don't know. But it's making sense. But at the same time, like, bro, why would you have your son kill your wife like that? Why don't you just divorce her? Like, it's that simple. Just divorce her.
According to William Fuller, his dad convinced Tyone there was nothing sinful about his intentions and that the two of them should start dating.
Tyone Palmer was ripe for the picking in the sense that she was vulnerable. She's working long hours. She's caring for William. She's not receiving a lot of male attention. He stepped in and swept her off her feet.
With police still listening in, William Fuller explains that just before Christmas, his dad decided to take his relationship with Tyone to the next level and ask for Tyone's hand in marriage.
But nigga, ain't you still married? Nigga, you still married. How are you at? This nigga a dummy. Tyone is a dummy. His son is a dummy. They all dummies, bruh.
It was a big surprise. Tracy is still married to Paulette.
Nevertheless, William claims Tyone accepted his dad's proposal, still believing the Reverend had every intention of divorcing Paulette. But William also tells the informant his stepmom would fight such a divorce tooth and nail. Her religious beliefs, coupled with her own previous bad marriages, had convinced her that divorce was a sin.
Okay, yes, I get it. Most Christians, well, not most Christians, I won't even say that, but a lot of people believe that, you know, divorce is a sin, but ain't it also somewhere in the Bible, or I know the Bible, but I don't know the Bible too well. Ain't divorce okay if the other person is being unfaithful? And clearly this motherfucker, Tracy, is being unfaithful, and Paulette knew that he was unfaithful. So divorce is okay. Like, go ahead and divorce this nigga and get with somebody else who will treat you better. That's simple. But clearly Tracy thinks, you know, I'll just ask another woman hand in marriage and fuck it, I'll just get my wife killed.
She was not going to divorce. So it was quite evident that she had to go away.
According to William Fuller, that's when his father came to him with a proposition. If William would murder his own stepmom, Tracy would be free to marry Tyone and collect a $60,000 life insurance policy.
You see, this is something that women generally do. This is what wives normally do. And I've seen too many episodes of Snap to know this. And some real life instances too where, like, bruh, a wife would generally get her husband knocked off just for insurance money. You see what I'm saying? But in this case, it's the husband doing the shit. Like, you trying to get a payout, knowing that when the investigators look at this shit, they know that, nigga, you behind this shit. You ain't getting no money. Matter of fact, you finna be locked up for life, period.
From which William would receive a hefty cut.
He didn't want to kill her, but Tracy kept badgering him, and I think he had just had enough. He snapped.
Investigators have heard all they need to hear. As soon as the call is over, they head to the DA's office and file murder charges against William Fuller.
The district attorney's office believed there was probable cause to charge him with the capital murder of Paulette Burleson. William Fuller was arrested and taken down to the police station and was interrogated.
But detectives know they're going to need a more detailed confession in order to charge William's father or his live-in caregiver with murder. They press William to fill in the gaps. In a matter of minutes, he comes clean, spilling all the details about that fateful night. On the night of May 18th, 2010, William receives a phone call from his father, who tells him tonight is the night. Tracy also explains that Tyone is going to serve as the accomplice providing transportation and, more importantly, the murder weapon.
His dad had contacted him. He got the gun from Tyone Palmer's bedside drawer.
According to William, Tyone then drives him to his parents' house. As William approaches, his father distracts Paulette by instigating an argument.
Tracy Burleson and Paulette Burleson were arguing loudly, and that was his cover for his ability to sneak up behind Paulette and shoot her without being seen by her.
He put the gun to her head and he shot. And Pauletta fell in the driveway and William ran.
All right, so here's my thing, right? And this ain't excusing William. Like, William deserves to be locked up forever too. Period. I don't care if he was pretty much forced to do this. You deserve to get locked up too, William. But as far as Tracy goes, like, bro, why you put your son in this shit? Why would you drag your son into doing this? Why didn't you just do it yourself? If you wanted her gone that bad, how come you didn't kill her yourself? Because you're a pussy, that's why.
After fleeing the scene, William hooks back up with Tyone at an intersection 2 blocks away. Tyone then drives William to his friend's house in South Houston, but not before stopping to let William toss the murder weapon off a bridge into Greens Bayou.
Can somebody say 911, please?
According to William, while all this is taking place, his father Tracy calls 911, explaining that his wife has been shot. Tracy then stages his car to make it seem like he's just returned home and discovered Paulette's body. It's a chilling confession that seals William's fate. He's booked on capital murder charges. Detectives also take a quick trip to South Houston and the bridge where William Fuller claims he disposed of the murder weapon.
What he wanted to do was toss it into a bayou, but it did not end up landing in the water. It landed on the side of a bayou, and the gun was recovered.
Once the murder weapon is in their possession, detectives run a background check on it. They learn the gun is indeed owned by Tyone Palmer. Not only does this seem to corroborate William Fuller's confession, it gives the DA's office the ammunition they need to charge both Tracy Burleson and Tyone Palmer with murder. But William Fuller isn't quite finished confessing. He's about to reveal one final, tawdry secret, one that turns the stomach of everyone involved in the case.
People have read stories about things like this. You just couldn't imagine that would happen.
I was livid and I was sick, and you don't cross those lines.
I really hope what's not about to be said is all 3 of them were all fucking on each other, because that would be sick than a motherfucker. It's already bad enough the man's cheating on her with the caregiver and all that shit. I hope them 3 ain't fucking on each other. That is weird, disgusting, and incestual. I'm just saying. I hope that's not what's about to be said.
They met so innocently in the church they would one day run together. But when Paulette Ross fell deeply in love with Tracy Burleson, she could never have known that 15 years later, Tracy's son would take her life, and allegedly do so at his father's request. Armed with a murder weapon and a wiretapped confession from the triggerman William Fuller, who has been arrested on capital murder charges, investigators believe they're ready to charge the Reverend Tracy Burleson with capital murder as well. They also plan to pin evidence tampering charges on William's live-in caregiver, Tyone Palmer, who has been having an affair with the Reverend.
We were shocked. We were very shocked because this was something new and it was disturbing. We did not expect that at all.
But before investigators can make these arrests, William Fuller reveals one final shocking detail about the crime.
It turns out that there was a sexual relationship between Tyone Palmer and William Fuller after the killing.
God damn, so hold on. She's fucking on Tracy and his son? Oh, she a slut for real. What the fuck?
William told the police the sexual part of that relationship didn't start until after he'd killed Paulette. He had sex with Tyone Palmer as a reward from her for killing Paulette.
When I discovered that Tyon had gone to bed with not just Tracy, but William as well, I was livid and I was sick. You don't cross those lines.
You just would never expect that a father would hire a son to kill his wife so that the father could continue an inappropriate relationship with a woman who then winds up having a relationship with the son while they're all involved at a church.
Sordid details aside, investigators have more than enough probable cause to arrest both Reverend Burleson and Tyon Palmer. With William already in custody, police and U.S. Marshals descend on the house Tyon Palmer shares with Tracy Burleson's son, William Fuller. They find Tyon in her bedroom, in bed with the Reverend.
Get on the ground! Get hands up! Get hands up! Get on the bed!
I didn't do nothing.
Yep, the police fucked up his nut. And that's a good way to no longer have an erection. That's what you get, motherfucker.
But even as he and Tyon are taken into custody, Reverend Tracy Burleson maintains his innocence.
This was a bizarre love triangle with many different players in it. The fact that Tracy Burleson was a pastor in a church made it all the more sensational.
Once in custody, detectives focus their attention on Reverend Burleson, pressing him to admit his involvement.
I want to talk to my lawyer. I don't want to talk to you or anybody else. I want to talk to my lawyer.
So detectives turn to Tyon Palmer. Tyon claims she knows nothing about the murder.
I don't even know why you arrested me.
At least not until after it happened.
Tyon Palmer told police that after the shooting, she picked up William. William admitted to her what happened.
But I had nothing to do with it.
Detectives aren't buying it. They decide to ratchet up the charges against Tyon.
The decision was made to charge her with capital murder.
This means all three suspects.
First of all, yeah. Second of all, this is why I like these shows, but I don't like the fact that they be making the actors and the actresses look better than the actual people who commit these crimes. Like, this chick looks sloppy as fuck. Why would this man want to kill his wife over that bitch? That bitch is ugly as fuck, but I digress. Whatever.
Tracy, Tyon, and William Fuller have all been charged with capital murder, a more serious charge that carries steeper penalties. If convicted, they face life in prison or worse.
There are only two punishments available for capital murder: life in prison without the possibility of parole, and the death penalty.
Terrified by the possibility of a death sentence, William Fuller cuts a deal.
William Fuller's attorney approached me as a representative of the state and informed me that Mr. Fuller wanted to cooperate in the prosecution of Tracy Burleson and Tyon Palmer.
In exchange for a 20-year prison sentence, William agrees to testify against both his father and his live-in caregiver. Prosecutors decide to try Tracy and Tyon separately. On September 26, 2011, the state of Texas versus the Reverend Tracy Burleson gets underway. The courtroom is packed with Paulette's grieving family, as well as scores of parishioners from First New Mount Calvary Baptist, some of whom support Tracy, others want to see him fry.
I've been prosecuting for 25 years, and I have never been involved or seen a case like this with the different players involved in it. It was, at best, bizarre. It was almost a voyeuristic atmosphere. They wanted to hear about the sex and the violence and stuff.
Prosecutors opened their case by asserting that Reverend Burleson was the crime's mastermind, that he manipulated his son, William Fuller, into murdering his own stepmother. To hammer home their point, prosecutors show the jury crime scene photo after gruesome crime scene photo.
I was sitting with some of Paulette's relatives in the courtroom. We were taken aback. It was just so, it was horrible. I looked over at Tracy. He showed no emotion at all.
After rolling out the ghastly crime scene photos, prosecutors called their star witness, William Fuller, to the stand.
Testifying against my father, that's like the toughest time in my whole life. And I remember the DA asked me, like, do you love your father? And I told her, like, and I love him. I would be lying if I said, like, I didn't love him.
But William also tells the court that his love for his father was never reciprocated. Rather than being the kind, loving father he dreamed about as a kid, his dad was physically and verbally abusive.
So this is what I want to know, right? If he knew all this, right? If he knew what kind of man his father was, why would you go along with killing his wife? And I don't want to hear the age thing. Like, I don't exactly know how old he is. Like, he might be between like 15 and 19 years old. I don't know. But still, you're old enough to know this shit. You old enough to know about the consequences, bro. Just say no. Don't do it. You think your father finna kill you? He might. I mean, I don't know. He might have done it. I don't know. But if he wanted his wife off that bad, you should have told your father, do it your damn self. You ain't finna get me busted. The fuck?
After recounting the abuse he suffered at the hands of his father, William details how recently Tracy, and to a lesser degree Tyone, had been pressuring him to kill his stepmom.
My dad and Tyone planned the murder. I carried it out. The only part I played was shooting Paulette. Everything else was basically let them drive. Like, I'm just a passenger.
It's clear that William Fuller's testimony resonates with the jury.
He was very cool, very calm, very deliberate in answering his questions.
But when the defense cross-examines William, he begins to unravel.
He became very agitated in the court, and he started to burst out in anger.
And it's in this moment of anger that William Fuller lets slip a crucial detail, one that reveals another possible motive for murder, one that nobody in the courtroom saw coming, one that could make Reverend Tracy Burleson a free man. In the trial of Reverend Tracy Burleson for the murder of his wife Paulette, Tracy's son, 20-year-old William Fuller, has given testimony that seems to have cemented the fact that his father was engaged in a torrid affair with William's caregiver, Tyone Palmer, and that they were the real masterminds behind Paulette's murder. That is, until defense attorneys launch into a withering cross-examination of William and elicit a stunning admission.
William said on cross-examination how much he hated Paulette, that he was glad he killed her, and that given the chance he would kill her again.
William goes on to say that Paulette physically and mentally abused him frequently throughout his childhood. He also states that Paulette didn't play favorites. She mistreated her stepson, her foster children, and her biological kids in equal measure.
He talked about their upbringing and how he and his siblings were turned out into the backyard in the rain and the cold weather and the heat, almost like feral children.
I messed up. I let my emotions get to me, but I had been holding them in so long.
All right, so the truth comes out. Maybe he just wanted to do it, but hold on, this ain't excusing this ain't excusing his father at all, because two things could be true at the same time. You see what I'm saying? Maybe Paulette was abusive towards William. You see what I'm saying? But also true that Tracy probably still wanted Paulette killed so he could start this stupid ass relationship with Tia, or whatever the fuck her name was. You see what I'm saying? Two things can be true at the same time, so he's not lying. I don't think he's lying whatsoever. He let the truth slip out, but also what was said before could also be true.
But why wouldn't I want her dead? You know what I mean? She did not give a damn about us. We literally used to hate her, like sit up at night and cry and just wish that she would fall dead.
Not surprisingly, Tracy's defense team seizes on William's shocking admission as evidence that Tracy had nothing to do with Paulette's death.
Our defense was that William finally got fed up, couldn't take it from Paulette anymore, and finally just killed her.
prosecutors counter by pointing out the glaring holes in Reverend Burleson's alibi. Tracy said he discovered Paulette's body after returning from a nearby convenience store. But prosecutors reveal the store was closed at the time Tracy claimed to have been there. They also hammer away at the pastor's now infamous sexual appetite.
See, this is what I'm talking about right here. See, this lady right here, that's the actress that's playing Tyone Palmer. The real Tyone don't look like this. The real Tyone looks sloppy as fuck. She's ugly. But this actress, she look pretty good. See what I'm saying? Like, they be making these actresses look better than the actual motherfucker who's doing these damn crimes. That chick is ugly, but this chick, she's kind of pretty.
And his heated affair with Tyone Palmer, which would give him a legitimate motive to get rid of his wife. On September 29, 2011, both sides rest the case. Less than 5 hours later, the jury returns with a verdict.
The judge reads the verdict, says, we, the jury, hereby find Tracy Burleson guilty of, and the judge says, capital murder.
As soon as the verdict was read, the courtroom was filled with so much joy. There were many thank you, Jesus, in the courtroom. The jury knew that Tracy didn't actually pull the trigger, but they knew that he was 100% behind it.
Tracy Burleson is sentenced to life in prison without parole.
I didn't want Tracy Burleson to get the death penalty. I want him to live and suffer for what he have made us suffer with.
And see, this is why I've always said that when it comes to punishment, that life without parole is always worse than the death penalty, because the death penalty, you're pretty much getting off. Like, you just getting your life ended, like whatever. That's it. But life without parole, you actually got to live with your consequences. You got to live in a cell for the rest of your natural life, dealing with what the fuck you did. You see what I'm saying? That's way worse than just the death penalty. You feel me? So I always say, life without parole is worse than death.
With Tracy behind bars, prosecutors turn their attention to Tyone Palmer. Between William Fuller's confession and the fact that the murder weapon belonged to Tyone, the jury has no trouble convicting her of murder.
Her goose was cooked.
But in a shocking twist, Tyone isn't convicted of capital murder, but a lesser charge of first-degree murder, which means Tyone will serve a mere 7 years behind bars. Paulette's family is outraged.
Now, I get it. Like, 7 years is too little for her. But she shouldn't have, I don't think she should have got the death penalty. She shouldn't have got life without parole, but she definitely should have got at the very least 20 years for that. Because you was involved too. You knew what you was doing. You see what I'm saying? You should have got more than just 7 years. That's too little for me.
Tyone Palmer is a low-down dirty. She's the scum of the earth. I hope she rot in hell.
For his cooperation with authorities, Tracy Burleson's son, William Fuller, receives a reduced sentence of 20 years in prison. Despite what they perceive as Tyone's slap on the wrist, those closest to the case are confident the true ringleader behind the sick and twisted crime got the punishment he deserved.
I believe in this case justice was done. Tracy Burleson was the most culpable, and he is doing the most time, and so that's very appropriate, and that is just.
Maybe so, but the verdict doesn't change the fact that amidst all the sordid details and jaw-dropping allegations, the tawdry tales of sex and lies and dirty church politics, the life of an innocent wife and mother was cut short by those closest to her.
Tracy couldn't get rid of her to just walk away from her because she wouldn't allow that. So he felt like that this was the only way that I can actually get rid of her for good.
All right, man, that's the end of this episode. Let me know what y'all think. Was justice served? Did Tracy get what he deserved? Did William get what he deserved? Did Tyone get what she deserved, or was she let off light? Y'all let me know what y'all think, man. It's your boy, Real Talk.